Allina Health is proud to support your Loons as the official healthcare provider of Minnesota United. Every day, we provide expert care to keep the team in top form on match day. All across Minnesota and western Wisconsin, you can find the same dedicated providers just a short drive away. It's expert care when and how you need it. Schedule your visit at allinahealth.org today. Allina Health, all together better. Well, welcome back to the Sound of the Loons podcast, brought to you by Allina Health. I am your host, Zarek Valentine, and we are here with the one, the only, the team fashionista, the team voice. Senor Wil Trapp. Welcome to the program.
Hi, buddy. What's up?
How's preseason going, my friend? First off, how was your off season? How was Christmas and New Year's, first and foremost? Let's take it back a bit.
Yeah, quick. Quicker than you want it to be, but also best job in the world. So it's nice to be back doing it. But no, we had a blast. We were in Minnesota the whole time. Family just hanging. Yeah, I mean, I think every year Christmas gets more magical, as you know, with little kids. So that's fun. New Year's, went to Costa Rica. We went down to Kenyel's country and hung out Pure Vita vibes, which was really nice. Just kind of recharged the battery before preseason began. But we've been rolling since, you know.
Lovely. And so here's how do you balance family life, enjoying it, but still consistently, and I've been here now, this is my start of my 4th year as a coach and as a player, top 5 beep tests. How do you balance life and also still continuing to be fit? Do you stop? Do you keep it going? Give us all your dirty secrets.
Yeah, the dirty secrets. There's not a whole lot of secrets. It's more just, I get stir crazy extremely quickly. So if I don't, I think it was 5 days. I think I gave myself 5 days after the San Diego loss to just do nothing. Yeah. And then it was like, Billy, what do you do? 5 days. Billy, you got to do something, baby. You're looking tough in the mirror here, kid. So yeah, I struggle with stopping the train. So I just go back quickly. And even if it's light things, touching the ball, that type of stuff. But ultimately it's capacity wise, running is something I've been very fortunate and blessed to be able to do it for a long time. And for me, it's just keeping that, because I don't like to lose it. If I lose it, then it's harder to get it back, and then you're fighting that battle.
Yeah, but you see, you are getting stronger. You're getting fitter. You're getting faster. These are things that, from a technical standpoint, you and Boxy were sitting here kind of scratching our heads, going, "Well, we'll hit a new max speed. He hit a new meters per second in the game. He hit, his highest, total distance covered in the past, 3-4 years."
Sure.
It seems as if you guys, the veterans in the team, are turning back the clock a bit, which has been, great to see. Is that just preparation? Is that mindset? Is it the system? Maybe, are you being asked to do things you haven't been asked to do? I find it fascinating because, again, as I was the exact opposite. I was declining so
rapidly. No, you don't give yourself enough credit, but
I was declining. I was decaying, and just you guys seem to be getting better. So what the hell did I do wrong?
No, dude, I think I can't speak exactly for Boxy, and he still has 5 years on me, which that guy he's something else. But the numbers we look at now, right? Like when we were coming into the league in 2011, 2013, respectively, I think a 31-year-old, a 32-year-old looked a little bit different than a 31, 32-year-old does now. And a big part of that is, what are the habits like? What kind of exposure to the right modalities for recovery, the science. I mean, there's so many things that 33 for me now, like, looks a lot more like 29 or 28 did when we were coming into the league. Whereas I remember looking at guys that were 30, 31 with 3 kids like me, and I'm like, this guy's got nothing left.
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah, he's ancient.
Exactly. But I think we've learned what the habits that do the things we want, that get us the performance we want. And in many ways, I've learned that, I think we talked about this last year, it's like dialing back in the right areas to then turn up the volume in the other areas. And for me, it's really, okay, don't do this so much, do this more, right? And finding what those things are. And once you do,
you're using the mixer.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there, you can amplify maybe parts of your game or physical elements of your body that in years prior for other guys really couldn't do.
Yeah, well, whatever that looks like, keep doing it. Yeah. That's easy enough. Yeah. But let's fast forward a tad bit to the end of the offseason and the departure of Coach Ramsey and Coach Dennis. Just quickly look back in terms of their effect on yourself and the club and the results and their tenure, and just give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the sign of good leaders, good coaches, do they come in and leave the place better than when they found it? I think for me especially, I can say that they did that. I think you probably assume the same. But the elements of the way they work, the way that they talk to players, the way that they can communicate ideas to the group, I thought was something I will take with me for a long time, because it was a very, very high level coaching staff, especially those two, plus Cam, plus yourself, plus Tom and the rest of the goalkeeping staff. But those guys, ultimately, I think they wanted to be here for an amount of time. They achieved what they wanted, and then they moved on to the next thing. And I mean, if this is a safe space to share that, I think Eric was very clear. This is a stepping stone for me to get back to Europe. And that was what he achieved and what he did. And ultimately, I think it's good for the club to see people that see MLS that way, and guys that are coming also to say, this is the place I want to be for a long time. But I think in Eric's case, he's a very bright young guy that is going to do great things. And I hope he continues to learn, grow, and do all the things that I believe his capacity is there for.
Yeah, I think he left an impression for myself, the players, the staff. And again, as everyone, the whole organization took steps forward, right? In the past few years, we've really been, making our mark. We haven't gotten exactly to where we want to be, obviously, with no trophies and finals appearances and stuff, but we're banging on that door, which has been very fun to be a part of as a player. And now on the other side of things, to kind of see how they worked. I know I took a lot. I learned so much from Dennis. I talked to you about, Dennis, Eric, as the boss, he's in his own world at times, but with Dennis, being assistant coach, the things that I learned under him, I could write a book. And I told him that, I thanked him, so many times for being patient with me and allowing me to learn and grow, which has been a lot of fun, and which is now fast forwarded to life under Coach Cameron Knowles. Take us into the first little half of preseason. Actually, we're closing now, but take us into how preseason's been, how you've seen things come tactically, emotionally, the sessions, just everything. Not too much detail, obviously, for our opponents, but just take the fans behind the curtain a bit.
Yeah, I think it's, and I've spoken to a few people about this in the media about it, but I think it's nice to have this forum, because you look at Cam's little juncture at the beginning of his 3 games as interim, and what he was able to do, how he was able to galvanize the group in those 3 games, and that preseason as well, but into those 3 games. And what we felt from Cam was this aggression, this forward thinking, this protagonist type of mentality that really spurred us forward. And I think the transition, obviously back to assistant coach, but then now taking the helm as the main guy, you see that, but you also see 2 years of learning underneath a staff and 2 gentlemen that we just mentioned, Eric and Dennis, of, okay, here are processes, and here's how we can run the club maybe a little bit better than I didn't see 2 years ago, but I'm still going to have that ethos of protagonism. And I think what Cam does better than maybe any other coach I've had is he's able to distill down simple ideas and get you to feel something emotionally about when you're going onto the field. So his communicative ability is amazing, and I think he gets guys to buy in. And from there to go to where we're at currently with preseason, I think everybody it's been seamless. His composure in getting only 4 days before preseason, he's incredible. Yeah, I think it was 4 days before preseason.
No, we found out the Saturday. I was sitting with Cam.
Sure, it wasn't Thursday. I think it was Thursday.
No, I'm telling you, it was Saturday, and I was sitting with Cam, and it was the 6th or 7th of January. And I remember the news had broken that they'd let go of the coach at West Brom.
Yeah.
And I was sitting right there with him, and I looked at my phone, and I said, "Oh, West Brom coach was fired." And he goes, "Interesting," because Eric was, I think, he was in the running,
front runner. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, his name was floated with the last one around, and I was like, "Huh." Imagine what would you do if you were the coach? He was like, oh, I would, sign you as a player, whatever. We had some, some joke. Fast forward 48 hours, and here we go. We're kicking off, and we did it. But it was a quick turnaround. But I think again, you speaking on everything, we had taken a lot of the tidbits that he learned, things that he'd do again, things that he wouldn't do, and then that's what you're seeing now with the group.
Yeah, it's simple, right? He's someone who, again, it doesn't need to be crazy stuff. It just needs to be well communicated and very clear. And if it's very clear and well communicated, guys will grab to it. And I think we're seeing that changing the style of play, right? We went from being this uber defensive team, and now we're trying to break a little bit of those habits and do something that all of us were maybe begging for. Yeah. And I'm sure the fans as well, just a little bit more pragmatism on the ball, a little bit more aggression to try to dominate the ball a little bit more. And I think all of us, we like that. It feels better.
I think everyone's happy.
But I think to speak to Cam, his seamless approach, his composure through rocky moments, it's amazing to have a leader like that.
Yeah. And we've never once felt that it's felt as if this was always the way it was going to be this year, right? Even for myself, and then Josh came in, which we're going to touch on next. It just felt this is just the way it was always meant to be. And Agreed. That there was no shift, there's no earthquake, there's no unsettling aspect of it. Because he's always been very calm, very cool, very collected in terms of the way things have gone, the way he's delegated, the way he's managed the off days and stuff. This isn't his first rodeo in terms of being, a head coach. So it's been very seamless for me. And I hope, and I'm happy the players have felt that same transition, I would say, or lack of their transition. But, speaking of which, adding Josh Wolf, someone who you have history with, take us into the mind of Josh Wolf. We had him on the pod, so maybe that'll come out. But yeah, take us into, what he's like as an assistant coach and is working under him.
Yeah. I don't know if I can get fully into the mind because there's a lot of X's and O's, and he's, man, in terms of football knowledge and how he can communicate that, he is the ultimate junkie in a great way because he just sees the game differently. He can diagnose things so quickly. He can communicate them quickly. And it's something where I think a lot of us we're trying to catch up. Right. But that's great. That tension of a learning environment is great for all of us, whether you're my age or you're a young player. But yeah, the history, for those that don't know, I had him in Columbus for 5 years, a year with the national team, and amazing guy. Huge career. We were talking off mic before, huge career, World Cups. Yeah. I mean, he'll undersell it like crazy.
Oh, you would have thought he would have played 2 years after college.
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, it got cut from No, you did. You were a high level guy.
I had a few injuries. I was in. I played a few years in Chicago. A few injuries. The next thing you know, I was DC towards the end of my career, and I retired. And I said, "Whoa, let's slow this down a bit."
Yeah, exactly. But his, I think for Cam being more on, and you being on the staff, you'll know this better than I, but more on the defensive side. And that's really where his skill set probably tends to lean, to have someone like Josh, who is obviously played at a high level as an attacker, but then also really thinks about the game in a attacking mindset with the ball. That level of detail, once again, we're seeing it in very, very clear moments off the training field. Things that we're working on are showing up in the game. Obviously, we only had one real game against an opponent, but that the fact that it's translating, I think, is a huge credit to obviously Cam, but then also Josh and how he's able to distill down these ideas for us.
If you're looking to hone your skills on the pitch, Minnesota United has your back. Our youth clinics and development camps range from goalkeeper training to academy tryout preparation to good old-fashioned summer soccer camps. We've got something for athletes of all ages and skill levels. Check out our camp offerings at MNUFC.com. Yeah, and seeing him work and seeing the implementation of ideas, it's been great because there's been a lot of fun on the staff this year. My role has increased a lot, and to be given freedom in terms of some of the passing drills or whatever it might be, but then taking concepts that Josh was trying to implement and then kind of, work on them from the first part of the session to the second part to the third part, and to see them built into games has been really fun to see. And I know that when I spoke to the players in the offseason, the players had this desire to learn and to be coached. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. You know, when I hear that from Joaquin and Kelvin and yourself and the veterans and the leaders saying, hey, let's coach, let's learn, let's, peel back some of the layers.
Yeah.
That's encouraging because, again, as a coach, you want to be always trying to push your players to get better. And he's come in here with a very fresh set of ideas. And I said, Josh, we're a blank canvas, man.
Yeah.
We are a completely blank canvas. So have fun and make it as, desirable to learn. And I'm excited to keep seeing you guys grow and try to keep implementing a lot of these ideas.
And what's really cool too is even he would say like we're barely scratching the surface on things, right?
Yeah.
And to that point you were just mentioning about the desire, the hunger. I think for all of us, there's this innate feeling of, man, I just want to expand. I want to grow. What does that look like? And when you're not doing that, there is a very real angst that starts to settle in your body. And what's awesome is when you get the environment that's creating, oh, this is new. All right, well, what can we do with that? Where can we take that? What's now possible for us as a group, given this new set of circumstances? And again, I'm extremely pleased to see it taking so quickly. And then also it's like, okay, well, what can we do with this? Because this opens up a new door of potentiality. Yeah,
of course. And we have one more game here left in Coachella. We play Charlotte on the weekend, and then we go into we're into it.
I can't believe it's here.
Yeah, it's gone crazy quick. My watch is going up.
It's saying, we're 1 week.
Yeah,
right?
Coachella. It says Coachella Valley. There it is. Decisive. Yep, perfect. But yeah, so we've gone through preseason. We've seen a lot of these things. What are your initial feelings going into MLS season 2026?
2026, year 14 for me. Humble brag. No, I think obviously let's call the elephant in the room is like, okay, well, we just got James Rodriguez. What's that going to look like?
Touch on that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, what a lovely guy. What a lovely guy. I mean, for someone who many of us have watched at a high level for a long time, to see how humble, almost shy in some ways he is, has been what a treat. So I think that's the big thing to see. Okay, how do we make this all work? Because here's a guy that's going to go to Colombia and captain his national team in the World Cup, and we get to see hopefully the build up to that in a great way. Yeah,
I'm excited to see him, hop into sessions, whenever that all the visa, I don't know how that all works out and stuff, but just to get in, be around the group, sit here and lunch and try to integrate himself as best as he possibly can. Obviously, once you get in the lines, it's a lot easier when you get to scrap it up with the boys. Yeah. But just to, again, he's been very engaged, trying to, he was the first day he's, at the, the La Banda table. Next thing you know, he went, I think you go to dinner with you guys.
Yeah, he went to dinner with us. It was great. Just a lovely guy, truly. So I think that'll be a fun storyline. I think all the things we just talked about in terms of the evolution of the team, because that's really what it is. It's an evolution. And what does that look like? how far can we take it? And if we want to continue to raise our level, raise our standard, well, the thing after the past 2 years will be grabbing a hold of something that's silver. Yeah. Which would be really nice for us.
I haven't done that.
Yeah, me neither.
In college, it was brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the whole silverware thing looks like.
So I think it's poised to be an exciting year for sure. The 10th year of the club, all that. But you know how this goes. It's all about the work. Yeah. So it's what we're doing daily. It's what we're doing in the hour and a half, 2 hours we're on the field. The work you're doing off the field day in, day out, and that's really the momentum that builds. But I think we have a good crop of young guys. I think we have a good group of guys who took a step last year that are taking another step. You think guys of Morris and Anthony and that 25-year-old group that's solidifying themselves as professionals. Man, again, there's no bad eggs in our group, and we're really fortunate. Yeah, and also I think it'd be great, speaking of some of the guys who are looking to take that next step forward, who've already taken a step forward, just giving the fans a little bit of insight into some of the newer faces that actually have been on the field. Chankalai, who's played a good little bit of minutes. Kenyo got rolling here. We've seen Kamara. We've seen Troy Putt. Momo Dieng kind of, really now he's had a full preseason with us. And just take us into a little bit of some of those guys that maybe the fans haven't seen that have kind of played a little bit more, a bigger of a role here in preseason than in previous years. Yeah, I think starting with Tomas, I mean, he's one who, for those that didn't follow New England, was a DP there, and we played against him one of his first games, and I remember he was a handful to deal with when he was playing against us with New England. So a guy who very professional, great teammate, works hard, and very versatile in what he can do in the attacking side of the game. But also hungry to learn and work. And that for me it's great to see those habits in guys.
Yep.
Guys that come into a new team that immediately are like, I'm going to show you what I'm about by just how I work.
Mm-hmm.
So Tomas has been, I'm sure the staff is pretty pleased with him, but I think
he's been great.
Been great.
He's been awesome for me because he's come in, fit in seamlessly. Another Argentinian. We got another one of these guys. They're all laughing and hanging, drinking their mate. Right. But also for me, he's been interesting to see because I think he can challenge Joaquin in the sense that there's certain parts of Tomas's game that Joaquin should look and knowingly adapt. And part of those big ones is running forward. Tomas is, at times he's played as a 9.
Yep.
So we might see him up there roaming around, maybe with Kelvin, but being a lot more direct running in behind lines. And I think that's one place where Joaquin, as much as he can pick out a lot of passes, I also want to see this man score goals. You had a great assist to Robin Lod. Robin Lod basically making a direct run behind the lines, a nice little potato chip from Wil Trapp there around midfield, touch goal. And I'd love to see Joaquin try to find himself more in and around the box at times, because if with that kind of technique and the shot and stuff, I think he can get some goals. And, to have a younger group, that played against DC United, which was fun for me to watch, with, to see Kenyel get first minutes, under the team in an extended period, to see some second team guys in Troy Putt and Momo Kamara as well was fun. So what's it like seeing these guys now that they've been with the club? Well, not Kenyel, but to see Kieran get a little bit, and Darius is getting older, and Momo and Troy, second team guys, really kind of stepping in. Britton Fisher signed a first team deal.
Yep.
Stepping up with the first team. What's that like?
Yeah, I think all those guys, they've been around the group enough for us to be familiar with them, right? But then once again, it's how anyone can come up for one session and gear themselves up and try really hard and do great in the one session. But can you do it over this 4, 5, 6 week period? Can you do it every day when we're back home in Minnesota? And I think the exciting thing from those guys is you're seeing those consistent steps daily of raising their own level. And ultimately that's what it's about. Can you be consistent training? Can you be consistent in the games? And I think you look at Troy's capacity in the last game, he ran almost 1,200 meters high speed running, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
He won the beep test. He's
Bonkers.
just like, he has an elite capacity for running, but also he's like a gamer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like in the right spots. He does the right things. He makes coherent soccer plays consistently. And I think for us, if you can see that showing up time and time again, you go, okay. And if I'm Cam, those are the guys you start to trust a little bit more. And ultimately, you want to see those from from young players, because that's how you get yourself and your name in the ring.
Of course. And that you develop trust. Some of the other guys go, worst case, he might give the ball away. I can deal with that, but his reaction's always going to be good.
Absolutely.
And then for me, it's always, if you can have good reactions, that's what first and foremost is the most important thing. And then lastly, I'd be remiss to not mention the first 2 guests I had on this podcast this year was Drake and Peter.
Yeah.
Peter is a little scrappy.
Love Petey, dude.
Yeah.
What a guy.
What a guy. Yeah. So again, just the initial thoughts on these guys. Yeah. I loved chatting with them on the pod. Petey's awesome. He was the first guest, I think, to start asking me questions mid-podcast, which is throwing me for. And Drake is lovely. But yeah, Peter's just going to sit in there and just, again, I say scrappy, but he's just going to connect passes and just muck up a lot of the opponent's attacks, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's like, don't undersell his capacity on the ball. Don't undersell his doggedness, and what a great contribution he's already been to the locker room. Because you lose some characters. We lost some characters, right? We know that in Dane and Rob and Hassani and Joseph. And how do you replace that? Because it's not just about what happens on the field. It's also what happens off the field. And I've been super impressed with Pete, because he's just himself.
Yeah.
And he's fun,
he's
and
awesome.
he jokes, and he's hilarious. And you're like, great. These are the types of guys you want to be around and have on your team, because it just brings levity to situations. But not in like a class clown way, but in a way that's like, okay, we can all compete, but we can also still be like,
of course,
have a good time.
Of course.
And then for Drake, having had 1 year with him in Miami, his rookie year, just a very like serene, calm,
chill,
peaceful guy.
Yeah.
He's just a peaceful guy. So that's been really fun to reconnect with him. I think he's come in and looked great. I think he's come in after his surgery and really hasn't missed a beat. And I was really pleased for him in the last game it was first real meaningful minutes in a while.
A little bit.
Yeah. And to see, okay, maybe at the beginning he was, I don't want to force this pass. I want to do this. And then by the second half, he's breaking lines and you could see it and you're like, awesome.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you want.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
They've stepped in and for a variety of different ways have been awesome additions. And I know that from the recruitment staff and stuff, the personality aspect is important as well, to how they're going to fit into the group. And we have a good enough culture now to where that shouldn't be too difficult. And if God forbid someone did come in that wasn't, you guys would straighten them out. So that makes my job easy on the technical side. But Mr. Wil Trapp, thank you so much for coming on here and giving the fans some incredible insight into the staff and how preseason's been into your new teammates. I was going to say mine, man. I'm 2 years out of it. But that's this week's episode of the Sound of the Loons podcast, brought to you by Align Health. Be sure to like and subscribe and do all that fancy stuff. But thank you so much for coming on. You'll be one of the few guests that I'll guarantee to ask come back again. You always. All right. Have a good rest of your day and all the best this season.
Thanks, buddy.